All right, I got thinking about something that I did that I didn't explain. I don't know if any of you guys ever watched anybody taking fenders off of a car. There's one thing that you want to do. I'm going to swing around here right quick. Sorry about that. I wasn't really prepared. Underneath most of these are going to be shims. And this one actually had the front part here and here. And I have them up here. I know where they go, but you really need to remember, it's actually on both sides. You need to remember where those go if you're just going to pull the fenders off and put them back on. You know, whether you're pulling a motor or you're pulling it for some other reason. If you're not really replacing anything important, then you need to remember where all those go. Now, I'm going to tell you why I did not. Knowing that the battery tray, which I'm not sure, you may not have been able to see it very good. I'll actually show you that. Let me trip on some stuff. This is part of the battery tray, and it's almost about all that's left besides that little corner piece right here. And I probably showed you that before, but that's all that's left. Now, I know going into this, because I've had this problem on a 74 that I worked on, that battery sits right around this area here. Now, I found that the frame usually does not get damaged unless the acid, is really run on it and then let go. I'm moving stuff out of the way. Sorry about that. Well, anyway, right here is where your radiator support mounts, and it's got a rubber bushing between here and then up there on the top, and that allows a little flex and obviously vibration, stop and whatnot. There's one on both sides. Well, coming into this on the 74 that I worked on, the car never quite sat straight, it didn't look like, and when I took the front end off of it, I realized that these bushings were no good. And this is the inside of where the battery actually goes. I know it's kind of bright. I got the sun beating on one side or the other, but you can see that hole is wallered out some. You can see the rust all the way around there. And that's from the battery tray. It sits partially on top of this, and then your inner fender bolts to it also. So the inner fender has damage. Obviously the battery, you've seen that battery tray is garbage. And then you have this rust on here. This needs to be took care of. Why you've got a part. This is a 40-year-old car. It's always had an acid-based battery in it. I don't run acid-base. I've told you before I run gel. Yes, it's a little bit more money, but you can eliminate this as a problem if you spend the money, extra money, to get the gel-style battery. But anyway, I took these out, and this is them here. Like I said, I know it's kind of hard to see because of the way the sun's reflecting. But you can see these things are not too good a shape. That's the other half of it. It's not quite as bad. This is the mount that actually sat there on top of that. The other side doesn't even exist anymore, I don't think. Yeah, it still did, but the other parts were gone. But anyway, as you can see, these things are in really, really bad shape. And I ordered some yesterday. I wished I'd ordered them the other day. Now this side is the other side, the driver's side, and it's not as bad. The battery's not over there. So what this does is it usually lets these things sit a little crooked. And as the rubber deteriorates and whatever, this side could actually settle down. And this has had a constant problem since the day I got it of the fan. If you push on your actual fan shroud at all, it get into the fan on top side. I tried to adjust it. I mean, it's bad doing stupid stuff like adding rubber spacers here and there, and then I actually put a jack underneath there and try to push up on the bottom of the radiator support, trying to stop that from getting into that fan. I tried all kinds of different adjustments and whatnot to try to stop this from happening, and it was always an issue, especially if you put the car in a bind, or if you use, while it was running, you just put any pressure on it at all, you hear and it wasn't bad, but I mean, it would get into it, you can hear it. And by replacing these, that should stop that from happening. It ought to raise that support back up enough to stay out of the fan. So understand, even if it's just an 1/8 inch or a 1/4 inch difference on height, here at this end, 4 foot back where that fender is going to set, it's even going to throw it off further. So I was going to have to start over from scratch on setting these fenders up, getting the gaps right on the doors anyway. So that's why I was not concerned about those shims necessarily, because I knew things were going to change. They're not all that expensive just for this. If you get a whole set for the entire body, which I told you it wasn't going to be a frame off to begin with, but You just think about that whenever you get to that point, because there's enough rust in this that it really needs to be took care of, because you know what the battery tray looks like. And I did not order one. I don't know what I was thinking, but I need to get one of those on the way. But I'm going to treat this. I'm not going to replace anything. It's pretty thin right there. If it looks like it's going to cause me a problem, I'll cut that little piece out and do something different. I can also probably find another radiator support, but chances are it's going to be just about in as bad a shape. But I could probably cut that side off, because that's kind of a double wall deal there. And anyway, I'll kind of see how it goes. But also, what I did do was take that nose piece off, which is part of the sheet metal. Let me set it down here where you can kind of see it. This actually went on the very nose of the car. You know, that's where your hood ornament would have been. I guess it would have been, you know, this direction. And then your grill, you know, sat right there. This thing actually bolted to the radiator support. They've been on the other side. Now this is obviously going to have to be body color. So I took this off because I'm probably going to plug that hole. Yeah, I can get another one of them, but they're kind of expensive. And he'd probably just get tore off anyway. Some jerk take it, you know, tear them off. So I'll probably just take that off, fill the hole, and get rid of it. But here's another reason why I took it apart. Besides, it's got to be body color. Look at the surface rust that's inside there. This is what happens to these. They do not treat this stuff very good from the factory. It is a good idea, if you're going to take part of this apart, take it all apart. Said, I know this isn't the way to do things. Not everybody goes to this extreme, and there's times you don't need to do that. I'm sorry, my finger's in front of the camera. I'm trying to reposition. I can get around here. Anyway, so just to do it right, and not to cause any more problems with that fan possibly getting into the shroud and tearing it up and hurting somebody, I went ahead and ordered, like I said, new bushings. It's just a good idea to check that if you're doing it, whatever. I'm also going to be working on the air conditioning. I've got the condenser over here. I need to get a dryer, and then I need to get the compressor and its brackets down from up on top of my garage. I don't know that they're going to clear these aluminum valve covers. These are kind of tall. I may have to make my own bracket for the back to support it. The front ones is the same. That's not going to change. One thing that's always been an issue, though, is that power steering pump is never lined up. I had a lot of shims. I don't know if you can see this. There's a lot of, and this is when I had the air conditioner too, so it's not like it's because it's a lack of bracket. I mean, it was always there, the bracket was. But I have lots of shims in there, and it was still never quite straight. So I'm going to spin out that the fenders are off. I can actually get to it really well. I'm going to line that back up. If you wound her up tight, you know, 5,500 or better, almost 6,000, throw that belt. I'm going to have to do something different there. Let me think of what else. Okay, I told you I was going to set you up on a tripod when I started this up. I had a friend over. He was not interested in being on camera. He helped me kind of get this lined out because there's nothing here to I mean, the battery was, I was having to support the battery, and it looked like a disaster. I was just wanting to see if this was worth messing with or not. The miss is gone. However, I have no parasitic loss on this motor. There's no water pump turning, there's no belts turning power steering or alternator or anything like that. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and put the front of it together, but I'm pretty sure I got rid of the mess. It was a lifter. I was almost positive of that to begin with. I was about 90% sure that's what it was. But it did fire up, sounds good. It's holding 65 pounds of oil pressure. I didn't run it very long. I mean, probably not even a minute and a half, because I know I got to break the cam in, so I got to change oil. Put the radiator and all its, you know, everything back together the way it's supposed to be, and then I'll fire it back up and do an actual cam break in. I might have you guys up there for that. I mean, it's kind of 20-25 minutes of a motor just standing there kind of singing and changing RPMs a little bit here and there. So I don't know, we'll kind of play by ear and see if, you know, if you want to see that done or not. But it's going to be loud. You're not going to hear anything but a noisy motor running. So we'll kind of see if it's, you know, I might make a video, and if I don't like it, I won't mess with it. Anyway, this is just an update and to kind of explain to you why I did not pay attention to those shims. I mean, I honestly did. I just did not, you know, did not mark them. Because normally what you do is you, like if they went here, for instance, as soon as you take that off, stick them underneath there, either tape them up or just set them on there and tighten that bolt back down to where you know that that's where those go. There's no question on where those, matter of fact, there's still one under there too. So anyway, guys, I'm going to get off here. I'll talk to you later.